billions of dollars. That's what it costs. Billions of dollars Africa spends every year importing food. Pictures don't lie, a hungry man is an angry man, and the cost of doing nothing is catastrophic. But here's the twist, the cruel irony, a bitter harvest. This continent holds 60% of the world's uncultivated, arable land. 60%. So, why is the breadbasket of tomorrow begging for crumbs today? The answer is a story of power, politics, and a fight for Africa's future. For centuries, the narrative has been woven, Africa, a continent of need. A land perpetually reliant on the goodwill of others. A story painted with broad strokes of drought, famine, and dependency. But what if I told you, there was a hidden truth beneath the surface? A truth so profound, so contrary to the accepted wisdom, it threatens to rewrite the entire script. We are told Africa struggles to feed itself, that its land is barren, exhausted. Yet, the reality is breathtakingly different. This very soil beneath my fingers, this continent teeming with life, actually holds a secret of global significance. Look around you. Observe the vastness, the potential. Africa holds roughly 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. 60%. Think about that for a moment. That's more than South America, more than Asia, more than any other continent on this earth. Land, rich in nutrients, patiently waiting to be transformed into a breadbasket for the entire world. And yet, something doesn't add up. These vibrant markets, these bustling centers of commerce, are often filled not with produce grown from African soil, but with food imported from distant lands. Bags of rice shipped from Asia, vegetables flown in from Europe, grains arriving from the Americas. The numbers are stark, almost unbelievable. In 2022 alone, Africa's food import bill exceeded $80 billion. $80 billion. Money flowing out of the continent, money that could be used to invest in its own farmers, its own infrastructure, its own future. Think about the implications. We are talking about a continent possessing the greatest agricultural potential on the planet, a continent with the capacity to feed not only itself, but the world. A continent whose land is ripe for harvest. And yet, Africa remains a net importer of food. It defies logic. It challenges everything we think we know about this continent. It speaks to a deeper, more complex reality at play. Now, consider this. In 1963, the Organization of African Unity, now the African Union, was formed with the express aim of fostering self-reliance and economic integration. Decades later, with all this arable land, Africa is still importing essential agricultural resources. What is going on? What could be stopping us from harnessing this potential? This isn't just an oversight. This isn't just a matter of circumstance. This is a deliberate obstruction. A systemic blockage. A calculated manipulation. Wait, what? Africa, a continent holding 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land and importing most of its food, is not an accident. It's a design. The air hangs heavy in Lubumbashi, a copperbelt metropolis clinging to the southeastern corner of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Here, the story of Africa's economic struggle is etched not in dusty textbooks, but in the very dust that coats everything. A red dust, rich with cobalt. Cobalt. The name itself lacks the resonance of gold or diamond. It's a quiet mineral, unassuming. Yet, it's the lifeblood coursing through the veins of the 21st century. Every electric vehicle, the Teslas, the BMWs, the Nissans, relies on it. Every smartphone. Every laptop. The world's insatiable appetite for a greener future, a more connected existence, is fueled by the mines of Congo. And what does Congo get in return? Consider this, 60% of the world's cobalt reserves lie beneath Congolese soil. A staggering percentage. These deposits aren't just pockets, they are vast, sprawling seams that could transform this nation into an economic powerhouse. But the reality is a grim paradox. Drive out of Lubumbashi, away from the relative comfort of the city, and you'll find them, the artisanal mines. Thousands of men, women, and children, digging with their bare hands, often for less than $2 a day. They descend into precarious tunnels, risking their lives to extract the precious ore that will power the world. The images are harrowing, yes. But the real tragedy lies deeper. In 2022, the DRC produced over 130,000 metric tons of cobalt. That's nearly 70% of the global supply. Yet, despite this incredible mineral wealth, only around 27% of Congolese citizens have access to electricity. Think about that for a moment. The cobalt from Congo powers millions of electric vehicles worldwide, vehicles championed for their eco-friendliness, for their contribution to a sustainable future. Yet, in Congo itself, blackouts are a daily occurrence. Hospitals struggle to keep the lights on. Businesses are crippled by unreliable power grids. Families cook over open fires, contributing to deforestation and respiratory illness. We have a nation providing the raw material for a global revolution, a revolution aimed at sustainability and progress, while its own people remain trapped in a cycle of energy poverty. And it gets worse. The Grand Inga Dam, a hydroelectric project envisioned to generate enough power for the entire African continent, sits dormant, a testament to broken promises and failed investments. Built in the early 1970s, the project was supposed to unlock Congo's immense hydroelectric potential. The potential is real. The Congo River alone holds enough energy to power the whole of Africa. But today, Inga generates only a fraction of its theoretical capacity, a concrete monument to squandered opportunity. So, Congo provides the world's cobalt, essential for electric vehicles, and possesses the resources to power a continent. But wait, what? Congo imports the majority of its electricity. The sun beats down on the bustling market of Dakar, Senegal. Women hawk brightly colored fabrics, merchants haggle over the price of mangoes, and the air is thick with the scent of spices. Life, vibrant and resilient, unfolds as it has for centuries. But beneath the surface of this dynamic scene lies a complex economic reality, a reality still shaped by the echoes of colonialism. We've spoken about land, about potential. But land and labor alone are not enough. Control of your own destiny, of your economic levers, dictates what you can build. And here, the story gets particularly thorny. Take a look at the currency. The CFA franc. A currency used by 15 African nations, from Senegal to Gabon, from Cameroon to the Central African Republic. A currency ostensibly guaranteeing stability, yet intrinsically tied to a system that has arguably stifled economic independence for decades. The CFA franc, initially the French colonies of Africa franc, was introduced in 1945. Ostensibly to shield these emerging nations from the vagaries of global markets, it has, in practice, bound them to the economic policy decisions made in Paris. Here's the crucial detail. The CFA franc system mandates that these nations deposit a significant portion of their foreign currency reserves, initially 100%, now 50%, into an operations account held at the French treasury in Paris. Think about that. These nations, rich in resources, brimming with talent, are essentially required to bank with their former colonizer. This isn't just a historical footnote, this is a current reality. Every year, billions of dollars from these African nations flow to Paris. These funds are theoretically meant to be used as a guarantee for the CFA franc's convertibility. But the implications are far-reaching. Firstly, it limits the availability of capital within these African nations. Capital that could be used for infrastructure development, for supporting local businesses, for investing in education and healthcare. Instead, that money sits in Paris, often earning negligible interest, while these nations struggle to secure loans at market rates. Secondly, it grants France a significant degree of control over the monetary policy of these nations. Decisions about interest rates, about currency devaluation, are often influenced, if not dictated, by the French treasury. This dependence undermines these nations' ability to respond effectively to their own unique economic challenges. In 2019, protests erupted across West Africa, demanding an end to the CFA franc. Voices rose, calling for economic sovereignty, for the right to determine their own financial futures. And while some reforms have been made, including renaming the currency to the ECO and relocating the operations account to within Africa, the fundamental structure remains largely unchanged. But here's the kicker. The operation account held at the French Treasury in Paris earns virtually no interest for the African nations that have